The weight of 5 years presses into the worn leather of your chair, a phantom limb aching with the memory of what you could not save. Dust motes dance in the anemic glow of your desk lamp, illuminating stacks of cold cases, their unanswered questions a silent testament to time's slow erosion of truth. Sarah Jenkins. Her name, etched into the folder beneath your hand, is a ghost in your quiet office. An investigative journalist, sharp as a razor's edge, vanished without a trace. They called it a runaway, a self-imposed exile for a story too dangerous. You never believed it. The tremor starts subtly, a vibration against the wood of your desk. An old, burner phone, its screen a blank slate, rings once, then twice, a discordant chime in the bureaucratic stillness. You answer, the device cool against your ear, and a voice, distorted, almost a whisper, breathes 3 words that shatter the fragile peace: Sarah. Border. A dial tone that screams louder than any shout. A jolt, electric and raw, surges through you. The weariness of desk duty, the dull ache of forgotten purpose, evaporates like mist. You are Dean again, not the relic warming a chair, but the hunter. Sarah. The name a prayer, a curse, a promise. This isn't a runaway. It never was. You drag the heavy archive box, its cardboard groaning, onto your desk. 5 years of reports, interviews, dead ends. Photos of Sarah, her fierce eyes, a determined set to her jaw. Her apartment, meticulously clean, no sign of struggle, no note. The initial conclusion, voluntary disappearance. You sift through the brittle pages, each document a fossil of a failed investigation. Your own notes, scribbled in the margins, betray a growing frustration, a sense that something vital was missed. You remember the chief's dismissive wave, the pressure to close the file. The anonymous tip points you to a specific name, a night watchman who worked near the city's industrial fringe. His original statement, buried deep in the file, was terse, almost an afterthought. You find him in a cramped apartment above a greasy spoon, the air thick with stale frying oil. He flinches, a tremor running through his thin frame. They said it was nothing. Just a coincidence. He gestures vaguely with a trembling hand. The night she vanished, I was on patrol, near the border fence patrol zone at midnight. Your gaze locks onto him. Tell me what you saw. He hesitates, pulling at a loose thread on his worn sleeve. A vehicle. Not a typical border patrol truck. A flash. Like metal catching the moonlight, near the fence line. I thought it was just scrap, or maybe someone dropping something, but then I saw him. Him? A man. Tall, broad shoulders. He bent down, picked something up. It was fast. Too fast. I told the officers, but they said it was probably just a smuggler, nothing to do with the journalist. He swallows hard, his voice barely audible. They dismissed it. And I needed the job. What did he pick up? You press, your breath catching. He closes his eyes, as if reliving the moment. A camera lens. Not just any lens. It had a distinctive scratch, right across the housing. You remember a faded photograph in Sarah's file, a close-up of her gear. Her prized telephoto lens, its housing marred by a unique, star-shaped scratch from a fall on a previous assignment. It was her signature, almost. The original report never mentioned a missing lens. It was assumed to be among her other belongings, packed away, but it wasn't. The detail, dismissed as insignificant by the initial investigators, now screams the truth. Sarah didn't run away. He was taken. And her lens, her tool of truth, was discarded, a cruel trophy, at the edge of the world she sought to expose. It is an echo, reverberating with a newfound urgency. You feel the familiar, dangerous thrill of the chase ignite within you. This time, Dean, you will find him. The sterile scent of old paper and stale coffee clings to the air around you, a familiar shroud in the precinct's archives. Your fingers, calloused from years of gripping a service weapon, now navigate brittle folders, each rustle a whisper from a forgotten past. You pull Sarah's file, its spine cracked, its contents a testament to 5 years of unanswered questions. The faded photograph of her gear stares back, that distinctive, star-shaped scar on the telephoto lens housing, a silent accusation. The original report, you recall, made no mention of it. It wasn't just missing, it was taken. A cold certainty settles in your gut. Sarah wasn't just investigating, he was observing. And that lens, her most powerful eye, saw something someone wanted blind. You retrace her final months, sifting through old notes, digital footprints, and the archived pieces she published. A pattern emerges, subtle at first, then stark, a series of articles, increasingly critical, targeting a conglomerate known only as the Meridian Collective. Their tendrils reached into infrastructure projects, energy contracts, even obscure zoning ordinances. Always just beneath the surface, just out of frame. You try to access the internal Meridian Collective files, locked away in the department's restricted server. The screen flashes a blunt denial. Access denied. See Superior. You march to the Superior's office, the oak door a barrier to more than just a room. Dean, your Superior says, not looking up from a screen, still chasing ghosts. The words are a dull thud against the quiet hum of the air conditioning. Sarah Jenkins, 5 years gone. Don't waste resources on phantom leads. The telephoto lens, you state, your voice a low growl, it was missing from her gear. Never logged. The Superior finally lifts their gaze, eyes like chips of flint. A lens? After all this time? You're grasping, Dean. The collective is untouchable. Powerful. You start poking that hornet's nest, you'll find yourself swarmed, and I won't be able to pull you out. The veiled threat hangs in the air, thick and metallic. It's not just stonewalling, it's a warning, a confirmation that you're on the right track. Someone is watching. Someone powerful. Undeterred, you return to Sarah's digital breadcrumbs. He was meticulous, leaving trails for herself, for a future where she might need to run, or where someone else might need to follow. Hidden in an old, innocuous blog post about urban gardening, you find a string of seemingly random characters. It's an old encryption key, one she shared with you once, years ago, for a personal project. You feed it into a secure terminal, and a single file decrypts, a fragmented audio recording, a garbled conversation, and a timestamp and a location. You arrive early, the air biting, the chain link fence a stark silhouette against the pre-dawn sky. The distant rumble of patrol vehicles is a constant, low thrum. You feel exposed, a lone figure waiting for a secret. A figure emerges from the gloom, a stranger cloaked in the vastness of the night, moving with an almost unnatural quietness. Said you were stubborn. Your hand instinctively hovers near your sidearm. What do you have? The stranger slides a small, ruggedized data stick into your palm. Its surface is cool, smooth. Sarah was close. Too close. She found something about the collective's logistics operation. The stranger hesitates, a ripple in their composure. She lost it. Or they took it. It had pictures, Dean. Pictures of what happens out here, when the patrols are looking the other way. Pictures that would burn the collective to the ground. A low, guttural cough racks their frame. Be careful. They know you're digging. You are holding a truth that someone killed to bury, and now, you are holding the target. The wind whips around you, carrying the distant wail of a coyote, a lonely, ominous sound. You know, with absolute clarity, that you are now firmly in their crosshairs. It carries the faint metallic tang of the fence itself, a constant, low hum that vibrates through the soles of your shoes. The data stick, cold and inert in your palm, feels heavier than its plastic shell suggests. It pulses with unspoken truths, a silent scream from the void Sarah Jenkins fell into 5 years prior. You find a flicker of shelter beneath a rusted transmission tower, its skeletal frame silhouetted against a bruised sky. The screen flares, momentarily illuminating the taut lines of your jaw. Encrypted files bloom across the display, a digital maze designed to deter. But one folder, marked with an innocuous date, yields. It's a ledger, not of money, but of influence. Shell corporations, coded transactions, and a web of communications that spiderweb across the city's most powerful institutions. A name emerges, stark against the scrolling text, Project Chimera. Then, a series of dates, locations, and initials. This isn't just about corporate espionage, it's a systemic rot, deep and pervasive. Sarah hadn't merely stumbled onto a secret, she'd unearthed the root system of a hidden empire. Her disappearance wasn't an accident, but a meticulously planned erasure. The final entry, a meeting scheduled for dawn, at a private club overlooking the harbor. The attendees are identified by their titles, not names, the architect of industry, and the overseer of policy. These are the ones. A plan crystallizes, audacious and dangerous. You cannot simply hand this over, the network is too entrenched. You must bring the light yourself. The words stolen by the wind. Something that will break open the city. You transmit a fraction of the data, a breadcrumb trail. Enough to pique interest, not enough to be traced back to the full truth immediately. It's a failsafe, a ticking clock against your own survival. Hours later, the first blush of dawn paints the eastern sky in hues of bruised violet and pale orange. You approach, a phantom in the waking city, the weight of the data stick now a burning ember in your pocket. Inside, the hushed murmur of early morning power brokers is a symphony of quiet ambition. You find them in a secluded lounge, framed by panoramic windows that showcase the waking port. The architect, a man whose tailored suit seems to absorb light, and the overseer, a woman with eyes that betray nothing. They are sipping coffee, their conversation a low, confident hum. "Good morning," you say, your voice cutting through the polite air like a shard of ice. Their heads turn, slow, deliberate. Recognition, then a flicker of annoyance, crosses their faces. "Detective," the architect acknowledges, a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. "Lost your way?" "I found my way," you counter, pulling the data stick from your pocket, its small form now a weapon. "And I found Project Chimera." The overseer's porcelain composure cracks. Just a hairline fracture. That name means nothing. It meant everything to Sarah Jenkins, you press, stepping closer. She knew about your shell companies. Your manipulated contracts, the environmental waivers you bought. The architect's hand twitches, a subtle signal to a hulking figure by the door. You're out of your depth, detective. Some truths are best left buried. Some truths demand to be unearthed, you retort, projecting the hidden ledger onto a discreet wall-mounted screen using a small, modified device. The names, the dates, the coded transactions, undeniable. Sarah didn't disappear. Because he was close to revealing how your Project Chimera was a front for something far more insidious, a network of illicit data harvesting. Leveraging the very infrastructure you pretend to build. The overseer rises, his voice a silk-wrapped threat. You've made a grave error. I sent a copy of this to every major news outlet an hour ago. By the time the sun is fully up, your empire will be crumbling. A primal roar erupts from the architect. He lunges, overturning a table, sending crystal and porcelain shattering. The hulking figure by the door moves, a blur of muscle. You don't hesitate. You dive, narrowly evading his grasp, the data stick still clutched in your hand. The chase is on, a desperate scramble through the opulent halls, past startled patrons, the air thick with the scent of expensive cologne and burgeoning panic. You burst through the main doors. Into the crisp morning air, the sirens already wailing in the distance. The architect and the overseer are apprehended, their carefully constructed facades crumbling under the weight of irrefutable evidence. Justice for Sarah is a quiet, profound ache, not a triumphant shout. The news breaks like a storm, tearing through the city's veneer, exposing the rot. You watch it unfold, the headlines screaming, the talking heads dissecting. The price, however, is personal. Your name, once a shield, is now a target. The quiet life you once knew is shattered, replaced by the relentless scrutiny of a world that now knows your role in unmasking the serpent. You are changed, profoundly.